Welcome to Thrive Radio. I'm your host, Amy Montgomery, entrepreneur and digital marketing agency owner. Today, my guest is Master Phil Ross. He's a founder of the BodyBell method, RKC Master. He's a bodyweight specialist, ACE certified trainer. He's a college professor and 9th degree black belt. He has 40 years of experience as a competitor, a trainer, coach, and instructor. He is the author of Survival Strong and Ferocious Fitness. Master Phil, welcome to the podcast.
Welcome, Amy. Happy to be here.
Yeah, I'm excited to have you on. You have achieved so much, and especially in the area of fitness and competition. I mean, it's really unbelievable. So can you share a little bit about how you became passionate about fitness and really what's your journey that has gotten you to where you are today?
Yeah, I'll tell you, it's been an incredible journey. I get to meet people like you. I've been all over the world. I've gotten to some places that I never thought I'd be before. And it's all because of my passion and drive for fitness, martial arts, strength, conditioning, and everything. It's funny. I've always been fascinated by training and becoming strong and resilient and being a good fighter, something I always wanted my whole life. I mean, ever since I was a little kid, it could have a lot to do with the fact that my grandfather was a boxing trainer and we used to live with them. So he introduced me to the sport and also about being in condition. It's important to be in condition. I mean, heck, the guy lived to 94 years old. So maybe he had something right. We lived with our grandparents, and well, that influence kind of stuck with me. He'd show me different ways to do sit-ups. He'd show me how to punch. The first time I worked on a bag was with my grandfather when I was like 8 years old. And then later on, the show Kung Fu was on 72 to 76.
Yeah.
I love that show. And my dad and I used to watch it. He used to let me stay up late. So I kind of date myself here. We used to stay up late and Kung Fu fight after it. And we used to do that until one day I kicked him in the face and gave him a bloody lip. So it was pretty funny. But it was on for several years. And as a matter of fact, the tattoos I have on my forearms are from that show.
Oh, wow.
I have the tiger and the dragon.
Uh-huh.
So that Kwai Chang Caine had a cauldron. He got there, pushed his arms up against it, and got the tiger and the dragon burned into his forearms. I didn't quite brand myself, but I did get some nice little tattoos there. The funny thing was when we were kids, we didn't have a lot of money, and I wanted to get martial arts lessons, and they weren't really around in the early 70s. There's very few places that had them, and there's no way. My parents were like, no way, we don't have the money for it. Da, 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 da. So I would just buy those Kung Fu magazines, and I hit the bag, and I lifted weights in the basement, and then I joined the wrestling team, which, is a martial art. And I wound up being lucky enough and decent enough to wrestle in college for a few years as well. But that's where it all got started, that journey. We had a family of athletes, both my dad and my uncles are all athletes, and my grandfather, obviously, and it just kind of was an influence on me. And back then, it's a little bit different now because I don't see everyone having that desire to be physical. I see a lot of people sitting here getting physical with their thumbs and behinds on a chair.
Yes.
But back then, that's what we did. We didn't have iPads or iPhones or anything. We just open the door, go outside, and rock and roll, and come home when it's time to eat.
Yeah. What are some of the individuals that have come to you for training?
Well, all kinds of people. I've trained special forces. I really can't get into the detail of who I trained because I can do it. It's funny, I can do it on my resume. And the same thing with the NFL. I can't talk about specifically what teams and so forth, so you sign an NDA. But on the resume, I can put it there, which is weird, but I can't put it on social media and discuss it and stuff. So I've trained some of those people, trained a lot of local and federal law enforcement, a decent amount of D1 All-American wrestlers, and some football players and soccer players and lacrosse players. Usually they come to me with a specific need, like if they want to learn kettlebells or if their back is hurt. Because I was featured in the book, The End of Back Pain by Dr. Pat Roth. I gave him the exercises. He was my personal client for 10 years. So I gave him these exercises for the back. He's a neurosurgeon, and he's really into strength training as opposed to just cutting people up. He likes to fix their backs. Matter of fact, he and I were on a couple different TV shows too together. So it was pretty cool. So I've trained doctors, a couple of stars here and there. It's kind of funny. I was training Sean Stewart, Rod Stewart's son. And he was out in Long Island. He used to drive to Jersey to train with me. I'm like, why do you come here? He goes, I like training with you. I'm like, all right, whatever. His limo driver would take him there. Trained him for a while, and all of a sudden, like, I didn't hear from him, right? And then I see him on Celebrity Rehab.
Oh my, that explains it.
Yeah, those are, I'd say, as far as like the kind of celebrity people, that's it. Mostly I have a lot of young athletes, again, guys who had a specific reason or hurt or injured, and then I have to get them stronger again. Like, I've had some national champion track athletes as well.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's too many to name.
Yeah.
So here's the thing: physical therapy, surgeries only get you so far. You need strength training. This is tried and true. I've seen it so many times. I've done it so many times. If you see a lot of the different testimonials and accolades I get from people that I've worked with, they said, gosh, I was going through therapy, surgery, 9-10 months, nothing was working. I fixed some of these people up in like 6 to 8 weeks just because they didn't do proper strength training. People don't know about, engaging your rhomboids. They don't even know about the erector spinae that go all the way up and down your spine and keeping that in place, and packing your shoulders, engaging your lats, tighten the butt, tighten the gut. It's one of my other sayings. It creates that cylinder of power. So many people just don't have any idea about that. When I was a junior, I got 3 bones broken in my back playing football, junior in high school. Said I was never going to play sports again. That's when I got into lifting weights and really training. And I said, my thought, at 16 years old, no idea. I'm like, well, the bones aren't strong, and make the muscle strong. So I started working out like a maniac. And my sophomore year, I was wrestling at like 122, 129. Then next time I stepped on the mat, I was 154 pounds because I just worked out like crazy. And I just got myself really strong.
Yeah, I love it. It absolutely works. How did you develop the BodyBell method? And for those that have not heard of it, and what are the benefits of it?
Okay, well, I'm not surprised people haven't heard of it because it's brand new. I came into developing this from obviously years and years and years of training, and I was putting forth a mix in my classes where it was kettlebells, body weight, dynamic tension, a very minimalist type of approach to training. And I was doing a lot of seminars for the RKC, Russian Kettlebell Challenge, Dragon Door. And then I just saw people were kind of asking for me, and I had to split the money. So I'm like, why don't I just do this myself? And I was listening to a lot of feedback because I've taken a lot of seminars, attended a lot, and I listened to people, and I've conducted, I don't even know how many dozens and dozens. And I know that personal trainers, time is finite. Okay. So if you're doing a 2 or 3 day certification, it's too much. That could be 4 or 5 days you're missing out. So what I do is I designed it so at 3 different levels, and each different level can be accomplished in 1 day. So it's more convenient. I also have it online as well. Level 1 is already online. Level 2 is in editing right now. Now, the funny thing was that I had my first BodyBell method seminar. It was packed, great time, on March 8th, 2020. And we all know what happened after that.
Yeah.
That kind of took the wind out of the sails for a little bit. Well, it's good because I developed it. With this, it takes kettlebells, hard style kettlebell training with body weight and dynamic tension, old school dynamic tension. This can be done with very little amount of equipment. So, hey, if you're on lockdown, or if your clients are locked down, you can't go to the gym, you can do this whole workout in a 6x6 area with some kettlebells, a jump rope, a staff, dip in a pull-up station. Boom, you're good to go. That's all you need. And it's something that can last you through life. So if you look at it, we're addressing, just look at all the different things we're addressing. We're addressing strength, right? Muscular endurance, explosive power, cardiovascular conditioning, mobility, flexibility, and a thing called sustained strength. I'm really big into the sustained strength. I like being able to do stuff that's hard for a long time. Does that make sense? For my 59th birthday, I took 1.5% of my body weight, and I actually wound up doing 60, but every minute on the minute, I deadlifted 285 pounds.
Oh,
I did it for an hour straight.
Oh my gosh.
Okay. So I'm thinking about, I don't know if you know who Marty Gallagher is. Marty Gallagher used to write for Muscle and Fitness for like 35 years. He co-wrote one of my books with me. I love him. He's awesome. He's got it's called Raw Podcast. And he's a world champion powerlifter. He's trained a bunch of world champions and record holders. And he actually co-wrote Ferocious Fitness with me. And I was talking to him about this because he likes my sustained strength thing. And, he goes, you should work this out and roll it out to a couple other people and do like a study on it. And I'm like, it's a great idea. So I'm going to do that in January. So what I'm going to do is do that once a month, right? And try to add 10 pounds every month. So you do that once a month. By the end of the year, you'll add 120 pounds to your deadlift. And it can be done with relatively little equipment and a small space. What's better than that?
Yeah, really. Definitely in the time and age that we're in now, because otherwise you have to go out and either spend a ton of money on getting some weights that you can, like the Bowflex weights. I have some of those, but they're investment. And if you don't have that, then you have to go out and buy all those mini weights.
Yep.
So yeah.
I mean, honestly, if you have 4 kettlebells, 4 pair if you can afford, but if you have 4 pair of kettlebells, it's all you ever need. I mean, if you want to get big, like you want to get lineman strong, big for a power lift or something, no, it's not gonna get you there. But as far as just overall fitness and conditioning and mobility and all that stuff, you can't beat it. You really can't. And the thing is, like, if you look at bodyweight training, right, the best way to know if you're at the correct weight is being able to move your body itself. So bodyweight exercise tell you that, hey, gosh, I guess I'm right weight, or gosh, if you topple over or can't do a pull-up, maybe you're not the right weight.
Yeah. So if there are people that are listening that are trainers, how do they get your certification?
BodyBellMethod.com.
Perfect.
Yeah, contact me. Yeah. So if you're a trainer, you can schedule up. I'll let you know when we have a seminar, or if you're a facility owner, you can contact me and I'll travel to your place, whatever it takes. And there's a bonus to each facility. Let's say it's your facility, you hire me. Like if you get to a certain point, the facility owner gets 20% for hosting fee. So it's not bad.
Yeah. What is your key to overcoming adversity and staying motivated?
Wow. Okay. So I pretty much have adversity my whole life. So, I mean, from the fact that I was supposed to get blown up in a trade center to the fact that I kind of had a rebound from my gym was packed in 2019. I mean, I just posted something yesterday. There was no room a year ago, right? 2 years ago, right now, there was no room on my jiu-jitsu floor. None. We had to go around the corner. It was crazy. My post said, gosh, hey, join while there's still room, right? And then COVID hit. So, and I had to kind of retool and bounce back from that. When you're faced with adversity, and I liken it to this, when you're a fighter, everybody likes to win. Everybody likes to win, but you got to hate to lose. So I'm going to do anything so I don't lose. I don't care what it is.
Yeah.
And I get knocked down, things that drive me forward. When you say motivation, yeah, motivation is good, but motivation wanes after a while. Drive. What is your driver? So what you have to do is you have to find what spurs you on. A couple things really drove me on were my kids. I was a single dad for a long time, and I didn't want my kids to see me fail. So I just wanted to not just set the example, I wanted to be the example. And then as far as my personal conditioning and so forth, I look at my dad, who was a very good athlete, so forth, but he let himself get very large. I mean, he was 2 inches shorter than me and 100 pounds heavier. And I look at how he never really got to know my kids well. He didn't even meet one of them. And I just don't want that to happen. So that's one of my big drivers, is that I want to be around and I want to do my best all the time. And I hate to lose.
I don't like losing either. It's a great motivator. So what is the 90 days of suck?
Yes, that is my phrase.
It is your phrase.
90 days of suck. See, the thing is that people always speak of like exacting change and forming new habits and doing things like that. It takes a good 3 months or 90 days for something to be effectual. You look at some of the old, even if you look at some of the old Joe Weider bodybuilding magazines that I used to read when I was a kid, they did like a triple threat program. It was always based on a 90-day cycle. So in order to exact a change, in order to see a difference, in order to, form a habit, it's got to take 90 days of doing it, consistently, religiously. And that's one of the toughest things. That's why you have to find those drivers. All these things go together. You have to find these drivers, employ them, and make sure you stay consistent, stick to your regimen. I mean, look, every day I get up, my back stretches, and then I do 50 squats, 50 push-ups, 100 sit-ups, 10 bridges, 5 RDLs each side, and neck exercises every morning.
It's amazing.
And I don't feel like doing it, but I
Yeah.
do it.
Yeah.
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 I didn't feel like doing it today, but I got up and did it.
Yeah.
So,
And I think you and I talked about the first time that I did a fitness competition, it was 90
yeah.
days. And when I realized I could transform myself within 90 days, then
Mhm.
I thought I could do anything in 90 days.
Thank you. It's
Yeah.
empowering, right?
Yeah.
But the things you got, like I tell my clients this too, I have sometimes people come in, they're very deconditioned. I'm like, listen, first 90 days are going to suck. And like day 3, I'm like, okay, you got 87 days of suck left. How you doing?
I love it. And yeah, and during that time, you're getting used to what you're eating. You're getting used to, oh yeah, what's my routine again? Until it becomes second nature.
Yep.
Yeah.
And don't give yourself excuses. Excuses are like armpits. Everyone's got them and they all stink.
So can you share some of your achievements in fighting and in martial arts and how it helped you to equip people with a self-defense?
Okay, so for the record, I competed on a national level from 1979 to 2010. So in various combat arenas. In 1979, as a junior in high school, after I rehabbed my back and all that, I took second in AAU Greco-Roman Junior Olympics. And my senior year, I broke my thumb in a state, so I didn't get to go. And then my last real competition was the Naga Battle of the Beach. I won that in 2010. So now, if you really want to say, I did compete over 4 decades.
That's amazing.
So it was more like 31 years of that level competition. I did have to take a little time off because I was hit by a drunk driver once, which wasn't good. But let's see. So I won New Jersey State 8-time gold medalist in karate. I was the MVP for the New York, New Jersey challenge when we fought them. New York, New Jersey, top 5 guys fought, and we won. I scored the most points for our team. I was a Naga champion in gi and no gi. I was a Bondo free fighting, it's like kickboxing champion, a lot of leg kicks and all that stuff. I took 3rd, was a bronze medalist in 92 in the AAU Taekwondo Nationals. And so many other ones. I mean, so many wrestling tournaments and bodybuilding and powerlifting that I did too. There's so many smaller ones. I mean, I amassed between 80 and 90 trophies and medals.
Wow.
The thing that helped me too was that I was a bouncer and a bodyguard. I was a bouncer part-time for like over 20 years. And then I also did some executive protection work, bodyguard work. So I got to see what really worked and what didn't work. I'm not the biggest guy in the world. I'm only like 5'10", 190 pounds. So bouncing, I'm looking up at a guy like this, telling him whatever. And sometimes you have to go or you're outnumbered or whatever it is. But as a matter of fact, one of the things that I faced several times people that were armed. And one of them, I got a commendation from the chief of police and the county executive from Prince George's County, Maryland. A guy stabbed a guy 8 times right in front of my apartment. Yeah, PG County is like some really rough areas there. And I used to live in one of them. And I chased the guy down the street and he turned a knife on me.
Wow.
Didn't work out good for him. And so they gave me all these write-ups and commendations and stuff. And I got those in the Washington Post. And then that was like probably the most famous one. There were other ones that had working. I bounced in Hell's Kitchen. I bounced at the Copacabana, the Underground, the Doo-Wop, a lot of different places on the west side, east side of New York.
You actually have a book on self-defense. How does that help people?
Well, the thing is that we talk about techniques, but mostly about principles, because you can have a million different techniques, right? But you have to pay attention to principles. And mostly one of the things I speak to the 3 A's. I speak in threes, like we have the 3 A's are awareness, avoidance, and action. And the 3 F's are fight, flight, or freeze. Unfortunately, many people, first time they're ever confronted, they freeze. And that's something how you have to learn to get over. And you want to create this thing I call instinctive technique, IT, that you're trained so well that when it happens, boom, you just react. So we go over a bunch of different scenarios, go over everything from being attacked by a dog to being in a situation where there's a huge crowd and there's a mob scene. Because I've actually been in those too, doing bodyguard work and so forth. I've had a couple of hairy scenes. I talk about it. I say what happened, because you have to also be careful, especially when you have these terrorist situations, because sometimes you go from the frying pan into the fire because you think you're running to safety, but you're not. You're running to a worse situation. So that's why you want to do one thing. if one thing I can get across to people is cooler heads prevail. So keep your cool, observe, don't react with the crowd, get your back to the wall, look around, see your options. Okay, these are all the things that go over the book, not just about techniques. It's about mindset, because mindset and principles are what's going to get you through a different a situation. And also there's a body conditioning in the book too, like workouts you can do without any equipment.
That's really, really good. So one question, do you ever teach your daughters?
Oh, heck yeah. Yeah. My oldest daughter is second-degree black belt. She competed, quite a bit. And she's got 5 powerlifting records, 2 in Florida, 3 in New Jersey. Wow. And she's doing her doctorate in microbiology in Florida right now.
That's incredible.
And then I have my little one who she's a little bit of a tiger. She's good. She's a good athlete. So we're going to be working out after this. I got the heavy bag ready for her. So I did my workout prior. And then, I got my son too, who's a big, strong kid. And, but he's graduated college ready too. He's up in Maine.
I love that. My dad was 1 level down from black belt in karate. Or no, was it karate or was it taekwondo? I think it was taekwondo, but he taught me how to flip a guy when I was age 5. He was like, this is how you, and so as soon as I could flip him, and then he's like, okay, now we got it. So
now you're okay.
That's the only thing I can do. If someone comes up and attacks me, it helped me in junior high a little bit.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. When she was little, it's pretty big, like her brother. But my older one was little, and she was at the playground, 6th grade, and 3 boys were, picking on her. And she just started like kicking and punching, bang, 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 getting them all away from her, right? And they ran away from me. Oh my God, she knows Kung Fu.
Yeah, that happened to me too. I actually split a guy's eye open, but the guy grabbed my leg. So if you grab my leg, you get a split eye.
It's gonna happen.
Yeah, right. So
everything has its price.
So what are some of the programs that you offer online besides the kettlebell certification?
I've got the BodyBell method, as we discussed, and then I have a thing called the kettlebell, the secrets of kettlebells. Okay, so what I do is I take the different major aspects, like 8 basic moves, what I call the grade 8, or it's actually super 7+1. So I have your swing, deadlift, clean, press, squat, get up, row, and did I say press? Snatch, of course. So you got all those, and I break them down in a video format. So you have that available too. I have Survival Strong, the whole level 1 certification that's up online as well. And I have a called American Eagle Live. I post videos up there. That's a Facebook site. So you usually post 1 to 2 videos up there a week. There's hundreds of them. I mean, everything from knife fighting on that to kettlebells, to bodyweight, to boxing, to kickboxing. So I do a whole bunch of different workouts. And, anything revolved around what I do.
Yeah.
It has to be kicking, punching. I love using knives. I put some of that on there as well. So all these are available on my philross.com site. So if you want to check that out.
Do you have any client success stories that you want to share?
There's so many of them, but I'd say that 2 of them come to mind. But there's so many people that I've gotten off of blood pressure pills, no longer taking cholesterol. So they're off all these medications because of the training. But 2 that really stick out in my mind. One of them is a woman came to me and she was in her mid-30s. She had 3 kids and she had AFib in her heart. She was like dropped down. She was in the hospital a couple times. Said she had to do something. So started training her. And then all of a sudden she stopped having episodes. And then a year later, she goes to the doctor, and the doctor says, what are you doing? She goes, I'm doing kettlebell training, some martial arts, blah, 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 blah. He goes, well, whatever you're doing, keep doing it. Now, she wound up actually having another child, okay?
Wow.
And she actually became an instructor.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, okay. Now, a woman who had 4 kids, she can bang out pull-ups now. Okay. Yeah, exactly. How hard it is. Yeah, especially you get all torn up here. Yeah, so she just became very good friends. Her mom hugs me, loves me because I saved her daughter's life or whatever else she thinks. But I mean, I don't know. I just trained her the best I could. I had this other girl, and actually it was around this time of year. I can't remember. It was like in the 90s, late 90s. I'm at my school, and one of the students, a girl that I trained who went away to college, she comes in, she starts hugging and kissing me. I'm like, not that I mind. But I'm like, oh, well, why? She goes, you saved my daughter's life. I'm like, what do you mean? She goes, well, her daughter, I mean, she's a beautiful little girl, like 110 pounds, like she was a model, like gorgeous girl, walking back from study. She was going to American University down in DC. And it was late at night. She broke one of my rules, was going alone. And she was attacked by a guy wielding a knife, a very large man wielding a knife, 3-4 times her size. And he was over 300 pounds. She put him in a hospital.
Really? Wow.
So those are a couple of my most, I'd say, dramatic, one from fitness, one from self-defense, that success story. Those are two that always stick out in my mind. Yeah.
So what do you think your truth has been that's gotten you this far in your journey?
Walk the talk, lead from the front. So many people don't, I believe, set the right example, and they BS a lot. Okay? It's one thing I found in martial arts and fitness world and so forth, that people aren't really truthful about what they've done. Like, when I start off my book, Survival Strong, I list a whole bunch of things that I'm not. Here's what I'm not. I'm not this. They say, well, gosh, why? What makes you, qualified to write a self-defense book? And I said, these things. So that's the thing. You look at, like, as many people would ask me years ago why I didn't write a book, why I didn't have videos and so forth. And I said, well, in my mind, I didn't know enough. I hadn't accomplished enough yet. So as I said, I always want to walk the walk, talk the talk.
Yeah.
Too many people just talk the talk and don't do it. I lead from the front. I want my people to know, trust in me, that I'm doing the right thing for them, because I've done this. I can't expect you to do something I never would even try.
Yeah. If you were able to give yourself one piece of advice when you first started out, what would it be?
Go for the money. It's advice that I give to martial arts school owners and to my college students who are aspiring to be trainers. And here's the thing. Not everyone's going to like you or your methods. Look, I know, imagine that someone doesn't like me. Go figure. I can't figure it out. But not everybody does. Not everybody's going to like you. Not everybody's going to like your method. And that would drive me nuts when I was young. Like, wait, this is the best stuff there is. How can you not do this? The other thing is, another piece of advice, though, too, is that not everyone, I was just having this talk with a good friend of mine. He's younger than me. I'm helping him out, working with him a little bit at his place. And so not everybody's going to want to achieve to your level. Not everybody's capable of achieving to your level. Most people don't even want to sacrifice to get up to your level. But it doesn't mean that they're not going to be a better person or better because of the training you're providing them. Well, it was like, it's funny, because when I first got my black belt, I'm like, gosh, everybody wants to be a black belt. Everyone wants to be a champion. Everyone wants to fight every weekend. I would compete once a month. Imagine, I'd have like 3 to 4 fights a month for years. You imagine how many fights I amassed. Okay. I thought, okay, that's what you're supposed to do. Who the hell wants to do that? Most sane people don't want any part of that. Okay. I mean, I had hundreds of fights, hundreds. Who wants to do that? Okay. So not many people want to do it, but when you do it, you're like, oh, I'm young, and I'm thinking this is what everybody wants to do. No, they don't. Most people, they just want to try to get in shape and take care of themselves. But the thing is that you have to still maintain your level of excellence. And I'm always going to maintain my gold standard. And when people get certified with me, it's not just taking some written tests. They have to perform, and they have to do it and be able to teach it. So
I love that. That's so true. And yeah, you're right. So many people don't walk the walk. And also, what rings true is when you're passionate about something and you've set yourself that high level, recognizing that other people can still benefit from what you're offering, but they don't have to be as extreme as you.
Well, listen, you go to college. Someone goes to college. Somebody gets A's. Somebody gets B's and C's. They still get a degree, right?
Yeah.
Now, maybe that's all that person could achieve, or maybe that's all they're willing to put in the time to achieve is a B or a C. But did they still achieve something? Yeah.
Yeah.
They're not going to graduate top of the class, right? But still, they graduated. They did okay. They're better than they were when they started. And so that's the way I look at it. You have some A students, you have a lot of B's, some C, and a couple D, and then the rest of them are going to fall out and fail.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. I want to mention your Facebook, which is Master Phil Industries. That's correct.
Yes.
And then your Instagram, Kettlebell King. which I love.
Yes.
I love that name.
I own that URL too. Kettlebellking.com comes to mind too. And it's funny, somebody gave me that name. One of my friends years ago, because when hardly anybody was doing kettlebells, people were calling them cowbells, kettleballs, all that kind of stuff. Some people still do that. And I'm showing him the stuff, and he's like, I knew him from wrestling. He goes, wow. He goes, you're like the kettlebell king. I guess I'm Master Phil.
Well,
hey, here's Master Phil.
You kind of earned it.
Yeah,
You kind of earned it.
If you ever see my speech I did, when I graduated from my master's, I was the speaker to the commencement, and people ask, "Oh, you're going for your PhD?" I said, "No, I'm not going for my doctorate, because listen, there's already one Dr. Phil, and he messed that name up, so I'll just stick with Master Phil."
Thank you so much for coming on and sharing your expertise and your journey. It's completely fascinating and inspiring. And it makes me want to go and I need to hit the weight.
Hit a bag, lift some weight.
Thank you so much for coming on today.
And thank you for having me. It's been a true pleasure. And I hope that I was able to reach some people in the audience and maybe inspire them to get involved and embrace that 90 days of suck. Because once you embrace that 90 days of suck, nothing can stop you.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you for that reminder too. I love it. If you're listening, you want more information about this podcast and upcoming shows, you can visit acalltothrive.com. Thank you, everyone, and have a wonderful week.